Uptober has lived up to its name so far. Bitcoin has bounced cleanly off its bull market support band and broke into fresh all-time highs, crossing $125,000 for the first time ever. However, the US government went into shutdown mode on October 1st after failing to agree on the federal budget in time. This means that the long-anticipated altcoin ETFs, which were widely expected to be approved this month, have now been delayed. So let's quickly run through what October and the rest of the year might have in store. And of course, before we dive in, please remember that none of this is financial advice. This video is for educational purposes only, and we're not telling you what to do with your money. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Let's start with the US government shutdown. In simple terms, it means a lot of non-essential government operations are paused, and that includes parts of the SEC and related agencies responsible for ETF decisions. So, over 90 pending altcoin ETF applications are now left hanging, with 16 of them having deadlines in October. It's still unclear exactly how this affects their timelines, whether the deadlines get extended or if decisions are simply postponed until the government reopens. On top of that, regular releases of US economic data like unemployment numbers, inflation, and interest rates could also be delayed, which makes it harder for investors to gauge what's happening with the economy in the short term. Now, for those outside the US, government shutdowns aren't new. They've happened 21 times since the 1970s, sometimes lasting just a day, sometimes dragging on for over a month. The longest one was 34 days back in 2018. Beam has been up to a lot lately. They're not just another blockchain. With a sizable treasury behind them, it's now a whole ecosystem focused on building and backing the kinds of technologies that'll shape what the internet looks like in the next decade. Stuff like DeFi, decentralized computing, and new kinds of dApps. Beam doesn't just fund things and step back. It invests, builds, and connects the dots across different technologies to create something that actually works together. But this isn't just Beam's vision. It could be yours too. With the Beam token, you get influence over how its ecosystem grows. So it's not just about watching cool tech emerge, but being part of building it, even if you're not a dev. You can learn more from their Medium page, which we've linked below, or just keep an eye on what's launching. There's a lot cooking. Markets aren't panicking though. Stocks, crypto, and even commodities have mostly shrugged off the news. Historically, that's been pretty typical. Markets tend to treat shutdowns as temporary noise rather than real systemic risk. But while broader risk assets don't seem to care, this shutdown has quietly thrown a wrench in what many expected to be the next big crypto catalyst. Before the shutdown, approval odds for altcoin ETFs were estimated at 95 to 100%. The trajectory looked straightforward. ETFs get approved, retail jumps in, and the market hits peak euphoria before topping. The thing is though, in terms of the time it takes for cycles to typically top, we've actually already gone slightly past it. But other indicators such as retail interest or on-chain ones like the Pi cycle top indicator are far from being triggered.
We haven't really seen a lot of retail investors come back in the same way they were here in 2021.
Now, with everything on pause, that roadmap might get delayed or perfectly timed, depending on how you look at it. To get a sense of where things might go next, let's check in on Bitcoin dominance, or BTCD. After a multi-year long uptrend, dominance recently hit around 66%, which very well may be the cycle top. Since our last update, it looks like its descent has begun, signaling that alt season, the real one, could be getting closer. But at the moment, it's bouncing again, suggesting we might see capital flowing back into Bitcoin temporarily. So momentum has been strong, with Bitcoin locking in its highest ever weekly close. That could mean one of two things. Either Bitcoin continues to lead the rally from here, or it stays relatively strong even if the market dips. A reasonable short-term target might be the bmsb zone, the same area that we've talked about in earlier videos. So here's one guess of how the markets might play out, which would be almost poetic. If Bitcoin keeps showing strength through October, while altcoin ETF approvals remain delayed, we'll see Bitcoin dominance climb slightly higher. Then, once the shutdown ends and ETFs finally get the green light, capital could start rotating down the risk curve. Bitcoin dominance falls, altcoins explode, and we enter the classic alt season mania that usually marks the cycle top. If Bitcoin dominance is already continuing to fall like a rock by the time that you watch this video though, perhaps the mania could come fast and the arrival of the altcoin ETFs could mark the top rather than a wave of new capital. It would be textbook. History shows though that this period tends to mark the final stretch of the bull cycle. So if you find yourself feeling the FOMO or the euphoria, remember these are the times when taking profits might be wiser than chasing pumps. As always, not financial advice. Of course, this is pure speculation. No one knows if it'll play out that cleanly. Markets tend to surprise us, but from a narrative perspective, this sequence would almost feel scripted. So let us know what you think. Will the wave of altcoin ETFs mark the end, or the beginning of the end, or will the market throw us another curveball?